Before we go into the actual redesign, let's take a minute to roast middle school me. Yes, so this picture was brought up again to me by a friend who remembered this comic that I used to work on in middle school. And it was supposed to be a fantasy story, and so all of these people were supposed to fight to some extent. But they're absolutely not wearing anything that tells you that, one, this is a fantasy story. Second, there's gonna be some fighting. Literally nothing. This is like a case of drawing the outfits you wish you owned as a middle schooler, and also not knowing anything about male fashion. And I guess this is the thing we're going to try and improve on the most. Give them a clue so that we can look at those characters and kind of guess what their role in the party would have been. Yeah. Second thing that I will never stop laughing at is how 3 of the 5 main characters suffer from a case of, you have this hair because I cannot draw the other eye. I'm pretty sure if you've been at this very early stage of learning how to draw, you've had your own OCs that had this side bang syndrome / they lost an eye in an accident, whatever excuse you gave yourself to not have to draw the other eye and just, make it a little bit easier on yourself. So this is also something that I'm going to try and improve on, but we'll get into details once I go over each character a bit more in depth while I show you the redesign and me just quickly rendering them. So yeah, this is what I was doing a little bit over a decade ago, so now let's go into the actual redesign, shall we? First up, we have our main character, which, like any good main character from a comic you wrote in middle school when you were heavily bullied, is a self-insert. Yes, I didn't even bother to give her own name. Like, I just used my username. That's how much of a self-insert this was. But anyways, let's talk design, shall we? So, in the story, she is kind of this child of a prophecy, and so she is living in a world where people that can do magic have kind of been killed by this bad guy, which is kind of like the big bad of that universe. It's this demon king that just came to kill all magic users, but she's still alive and there's like very few people who can do magic still, blah blah blah. Anyways, she is extremely overpowered and a bit of a Mary Sue, but I thought that if I was going to redesign her, I was going to put a little bit more thought into what she was supposed to wear or do. And so she grows up and she has this old priest of like this main goddess that her people worship, which is a moon goddess. And so that is pretty much what she is raised with and kind of like what they use to try and canalize her magic as a child so she doesn't blow up the whole town, basically. And so I thought that I would, instead of just dressing her in whatever skimpy outfit I wanted to draw at the time, I would use the color scheme that is associated with that goddess and give her a bit more of a magic user type look. Since she's supposed to be really overpowered and able to heal herself very quickly, it didn't make much sense to give her any kind of armor, so I kept those pieces to a minimum and then focused on the more religious aspects of her outfit. So I added a lot of gold and a lot of like turquoise, which is for some reason the color scheme that was associated with that goddess. And yeah, this is pretty much what she ended up looking like. I am fairly happy with it. I wish I had taken a little bit more time rendering some of the stuff, because in the end, in a complete picture, I'll show you at the end, everyone, I feel like she is not exactly rendered like I rendered the rest. But overall, yeah, this is what we came up with. What do you guys think? What would you have done different? Next up, we have our main love interest. Oh yes, because you know you had to have one. So this guy, basically they grew up together. You will see the character after him is actually his twin sister. They're like non-identical twins who grew up with the main character because they were all orphans, and so they had to stick together to make it out of there. In the original design, he's just like a random guy, and you can see that I put zero effort into thinking about what he would need, how he would fight, or what he should wear. I was just like, what do men wear? I don't know, like baggy pants and like a t-shirt because he had to look, I don't know, straight or something. So that's what we were dealing with. And because I'm doing this for fun, and this is a bit of a guilty pleasure, I kind of made him go full himbo, which, to be honest, fit with his original personality. He was always meant to be this super sweet, understanding guy that's just there for the main character and who just sticks by her side no matter what stupid shit she does. And she does a lot of stupid shit because, yeah, she's a self-insert for a moody teenager. So yeah, that was a bit of his thing. So I decided to give him some kind of great sword because I thought he would fit that kind of role best. Just, you know, melee, just hitting a bunch of people. Yeah, like kind of like that knight. I guess he's a bit of a white knight in a non, what should I say, in like the best way possible, if you can even say that. So yes, I give him a big sword and I gave him more armor, and I decided to try and keep the red theme, but instead of going full bright red, I decided to go with those copper tones because I changed some of his skin tone and his hair color to be a bit more like that as well. So yeah, I thought that was a nice way to kind of keep the original weird rainbow vibe that the original illustration had. So yeah, this is how it turned out. What do you think? Now on to our main character's best friend slash adoptive sister, I guess you could say. This girl was supposed to be the foil to our heroine's more fiery temperament. This one was supposed to be more girly, more upbeat, more cheerful. And so that is kind of what she is like at a glance. But in a battle situation, I always imagined her to be more of a rogue type. And she had those needles that would be poison that she would kind of like scratch people with. Kind of like Wolverine, I guess, except they don't come out of her hands. They're just, you know, tucked between her fingers, and that's kind of how she would fight people. So I decided that having her like a bit on the side and in that kind of pose would work better. She had a very blue theme in the original, and that's something that was recurrent in a lot of other drawings I've made of these characters. She's usually in light blue. So I decided that I wanted to keep that, but I figured since she's gonna be sneaking around, it would make more sense to have something that goes more grey slash navy than the bright blues that she was associated with in the original. So that is what I did to try and keep that motif going through. I also gave her something that's a bit more leathery so that, you know, she could actually fight because she would probably still end up in crossfires. So that was pretty much the idea between the redesign. I decided to not change her hair because in the story, her and her brother have lost their eye during the attack that killed most of the magic people anyways. So they each lost like an opposite eye, and I figured, yeah, I can keep that plot reasoning for it and, you know, let them both have one eye be covered. It's fine. There's a reason for it. So yeah, I decided to keep it and just give like a hint of that blind eye peeking out from underneath. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much what she became. I hope you guys like it, and let's move on to the next one, shall we? Ah, yes, probably my favorite character archetype that I keep going back to in every story, the gender bandit. You think I'm joking, but I don't think I've ever written any works that doesn't have at least one slightly gender-bending character that's really tall and lanky. I don't know why that's a thing, I just have one in every story I've ever written. You can read my actual webcomic that I'm working on right now if you want to see another one of those. But yes, doesn't matter. So this guy kind of joins the group later on. He is somebody who cross-dresses a lot and tries to like lure people, mostly bad people, and steal from them or just trick them. He's just there for chaos, really. Big spoilers, but it's not like anybody would ever know because I'm never going to continue this story anyways. But he is actually the runaway son of a king, and he has like this identical twin brother who is first in line, so he's taking the opportunity of being second in line to just travel around the world and fuck around. And you'll see the next character, like last character of the big five, is somebody he has a very interesting relationship with, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But yeah, I decided that I was going to show both of his eyes and alter him quite a bit. As a character, he was always meant to be a little bit on the creepier side. Not as in like gender bending is creepy type of thing, but just he is supposed to be that kind of character where you're unsure if he is going to be friends with the protagonist and if he's going to be on the good side or if he's going to betray you at the last minute because it's convenient. And that was kind of like the vibe that I wanted to emphasize. I wanted him to look a little bit more edgy. So yeah, he had like a completely black color palette in the original and I thought that was kind of boring. So I went towards a slightly more dark purple vibe just to kind of give him some kind of visual interest, since I thought that just going pure black and greys would be quite jarring, with everybody else quite colorful. So yeah, that's kind of what I tried doing with the general color palette and outfits and whatever else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. Really enjoyed working on that one. Anyways, on to the last one now. On to the last one. Ah, yes. How should I describe them? So, basically they are not a human, not exactly. They were artificially made by people from a neighboring kingdom who didn't want to wait for the child of the prophecy to appear to bring the world back in tune. So they decided that they were gonna try and engineer one, because what could go wrong? Short answer, a lot went wrong. And basically what happened was that this guy never related to any other human being until he met our dear gender bandit I just worked on before. So they have this very codependent relationship, and for some reason, he's the only one who's able to calm them down enough that they don't just go around murdering people, because for some reason, I don't know, it was edgy, I was in middle school, don't ask me, there was probably some too deep for you reason I came up with, I can't remember it for the life of me now. Yeah. They also look like I just ripped off the aesthetic from Chesa from Wolf's Rain. Yeah, down to the weird like shy manner, doesn't really speak much type of thing. I don't know, I don't think it was done on purpose at the time, I don't think I realized it, but every time I see this guy now I'm like, yep, that's just Chesa from Wolf's Rain, but edgier. Oh god, that's a throwback, isn't it? Yes, anyways, let's talk about the design a bit, shall we? So I didn't change his hair because I thought it was a bit of a signature hair and I didn't mind it that much. I like the slight asymmetry, I thought it was cool. He had a tendency of being depicted in green, but I didn't want to use something as bright and like weird as I did in the original. Like, I don't know what this pseudo kimono type thing is happening there, I don't like it. But I was like, green is fine, green is good, you get to be green, that's fine. Since he was created to be kind of like an artificial version of what our heroine actually is, he also wouldn't really need much armor or anything of that sort in combat, because he would probably just be out there launching magic at them and healing himself really quickly. So I also went with a lot more cloth-based type of outfit for him, and I thought it was pretty cool. There's bandages and he's mostly covered up because I feel like they would probably not be the kind to put themselves forward. I feel like they're very much cozy vibes, just hanging out in a sweater. Yeah, anyways, that's kind of like the main things that I felt like changing. And now we are done. Oh my, oh my, oh my. And ta-da! Here is the final piece. Yay! This honestly didn't take as long as I thought that it would, and I had a blast redesigning them and kind of revisiting that story in my head. There is a lot that I'm like slowly remembering, but I don't think I'm ever going to try and remake this because I don't think that plot was salvageable. It was very much a middle school thing that has all the tropes and all the, just general bad writing, questionably put together arcs, weird morals. I don't think it's worth reworking. But I used to really love these characters, and they used to mean a lot to me when I was really, really heavily bullied in middle school and just needing somewhere to escape to. And so they were kind of my escape, and it was kind of sweet to revisit them again and redesign them. And I hope you enjoyed listening to me babble about this. If you want to see more of my work, or if you want to read current bad writing from me, you can find links in the description to my webcomic and to my social medias. I just hope you have a nice day. Thanks for sticking with me so far. Bye-bye!